Good afternoon. Welcome to today's HubLive. I'm so excited about having you here today, and we're talking about something that I know a lot of the people in our community, a lot of our Smart Hub members are looking to do right now, which is recruitment. And joining me on this HubLive in person today, which is really exciting, is Gideon Genade. Hello, how are you?
Good as health.
Oh, good. Really, really well. So Gideon is from Gideon Town Planning. And you know, it feels like yesterday when you decided to start your own business, but it's actually, you were just saying, 3 years ago.
Yes, so June 2017 was when we officially launched and kicked off Gideon Town Planning. And yeah, it's been 3 years of very exciting years. That's actually allowed us to grow, which is very exciting, and obviously why we're here to talk today about sort of the steps we've taken to move forward.
Okay, so tell us about kind of your recruitment strategy over the last 3 years. When did you decide to recruit your first employee, and how did that all work?
So my first employee was actually bringing somebody on board just more in a part-time role for administration support.
Yeah.
While dealing with my accountants and talking to them about all the back of house stuff, making sure invoices go out, the important stuff for any
that
business.
Is super important. Yep.
Making sure that those things kept running in the background while I was actually growing the business, meeting with clients, and actually getting projects underway and keeping them moving.
Yeah.
That was great. So there was that happened within the first 3 months. I got somebody on part-time, which was great, and it just provided a bit of a buffer for myself to actually work on growing the business, but then also obviously establishing clients and getting projects done from a planning perspective.
I think that's so clever, where you could be doing the operational side of things and you could be working on the marketing and the sales, so to speak, but then you had that support around the finances and all the administrative.
Yes. And having that role was almost getting somebody in that was sort of across all of those things as well. I could pull them in on a bit of marketing. I could pull them in on getting the day-to-day stuff done as well. So and it worked both ways for even my employee at that stage. Was great in terms of flexibility, and it just worked for us.
That's amazing. And I do think there's actually a lesson in that. So if you're someone who just started a business or started a business a while ago and you're looking at your first hire, so who to employ first, I think what Gideon did is actually best practice. So the number one thing that you need to think about in that very first instance is how you can free up your own time and what kind of person would help you do that. And that's often some kind of administrative assistant or executive assistant that's going to take away the tasks that you probably don't enjoy doing as much and that are just tedious, but super important, like sending invoices. If you don't send an invoice, even if you do great work, business is not great, right? Yeah, excellent. So Gideon, how did you find your first employee?
Well, like I said, once again, actually in terms of recruitment drive at that stage, it was actually just a referral through a friend, somebody that I knew was looking for a part-time role. So they came with sort of a reference that I knew, and a recommendation. So I felt comfortable. Once again, probably in terms of recruitment, looking at the financials, is it the right time to bring somebody on board? Which you always never feel that it is the right time to bring somebody on board. Just the responsibility, the financial components that goes along with it. So that was a bit daunting at that stage. But at the same time, after the first month or two, you just realize that that there's a role to be filled for somebody, and it worked out really well.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So then, how long did it take before you decided to recruit your second employee?
So, to be honest, we probably it was probably 2 years into the process. We actually started looking at, in terms of business growth and in terms of project work that's coming on board and workload. We started actually looking at recruitment and who do we get on board. Do I actually get another qualified planner? Do we get a senior planner on board? Somebody with a bit more experience? And at that stage, we actually got all the marketing material, and we'll talk about that a bit later. Got all of that together. At that stage, I think it just all I might have gotten a bit sort of apprehensive about moving forward and just taking that leap, which, to be honest, looking back at COVID and 2020,
probably good time.
It worked. It was the right decision at the right time. So, like I said, these things, it's hard to just say, well, this is the perfect time. I don't think there's any business decision. It's a bit of a risk as well. So I've probably been looking to get somebody on board in the last 2 years. At the same time, like I said, in terms of being regionally located, getting just a qualified town planner on board is very difficult. There is no qualified people in the industry that just floats around. We're not Southeast Queensland, so and also a lot of the universities are either up in Townsville, Cairns, or Brisbane that actually have town planning courses. So even just bringing on a student is quite hard. Yeah. Down south, as I mentioned previously, is that there's planning students that they get experience. They're going to work at businesses on a weekly basis to get experience, whereas obviously being remotely located, that's having that contact, one-on-one contact, just didn't had that opportunity for us to do that.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Okay, so you started your business, then a few months in you realized that you needed to free up your own time and recruited your first employee, which was there to help you, assist you with all of the operational functions, administrative and financial functions. And then about 2 years on, you knew that you needed another town planner. And then you had all of your recruitment marketing done. Is that right?
Yeah.
But then you were just nervous about it and didn't actually move
forward at that stage.
And looking back, that was exactly the right decision. And sometimes it is like, that's really correct and accurate. Sometimes when you are very uncertain, there is a reason for that, and you probably need to just kind of hold back for a little bit, and there's no risk in taking your time. Talk to us a little bit more about the risks that you were thinking about and how you put yourself at ease in terms of recruitment, and how did you get to the decision to go, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this?
Like in terms of the risk, obviously the first few things that I thought of, anybody that potentially, like in terms of professional role that we recruit to come to Rockhampton, it's not just they're switching jobs from one office to the other in a general sense. They're actually uprooting their entire life from whether they're coming from Cairns or Brisbane or further south. So firstly, it's that response, and it's that sort of where does the responsibility stop? Yeah. But firstly, you're responsible for that person relocating to the region, which I'm always an advocate for people moving to the regions.
Yes, yes.
In terms of getting work experience, getting that exposure, but also the lifestyle. Like I know we've spoken about it several times on several of these presentations, but yeah, the lifestyle that Central Queensland provides. So looking at those things, the risk of just uprooting somebody's life to come and move here. Then obviously the financial components, like obviously that's bringing somebody permanently on your payroll, and or even moving from having just part-time staff, casual. It's not just casual staff. So it's about superannuation payments. It's about annual leave payments, sick leave. Like and so I did have discussions with my accountant, obviously sitting down and just going through the accounting basics, I would say probably. Where we went through the monthly statements and all those things, making sure that firstly we're financially stable to do that, and then also obviously then going forward in terms of, probably for myself, got to the point so as everybody sort of got out of the COVID freeze last year, so it was September, October is when we realized that in terms of the property market and industry, things were moving a lot faster, and we started to get a lot more inquiries. And it got to that, and it was probably slightly before that we realized that, and it got to the point where we were just like, okay, well, I'm not getting back to even just the general daily stuff, not getting back, be able to respond to all inquiries, and getting things done as quickly and as efficiently as we actually had it all set up.
Yeah.
Like in terms of, we do talk a lot about how we set up the business, how do we make it run smoothly, everything efficiently.
Yeah.
And we got to the point where we just realized, well, all those things we had in place for the last 2 years was just not enough anymore.
Yes.
And that sort of got me to the point of going, okay, well, maybe we should get out that recruitment video and get the drive on. And timing-wise, once again, it felt a lot better.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of this is about the feeling of it.
Yeah.
But it was the end of the year as well, so October, which timing-wise worked out well because it was the graduation season almost again.
Yes.
All the universities were finishing up their degrees and the qualified students finishing up. So that's where sort of timing-wise, it worked out well for us.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay, so towards the end of the year, you decided it is all systems go, and you felt a lot more confident. Yes. All the indicators in the market were there that this was the right decision to take. And then you had, ta-da, something that I prepared earlier, which was your recruitment strategy. Yes. And you actually had a very unique strategy. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the main thing is that I've been working regionally for the last 13 years, in several businesses, and whenever there was a recruitment drive, it was the standard process of advertising on the standard platforms out there.
Yes.
And the amount of interest is there was just not enough interest sparked out there. We usually get a handful of applications, but once again, because it is a specific industry, specific field. I want a qualified town planner.
Yeah.
It's advertising locally, advertising paper, but even broader advertising just doesn't really achieve that. So my focus was actually going straight to where the students come from and straight into the universities, and looking at, like I said, once again, in terms of timing, end of the year, there was graduates out there, and so my target was actually through social media.
Yeah.
Once again, going through the standard processes of placing an ad online, there's probably a LinkedIn, all of those. And yes, I posted it firstly on my business LinkedIn account, and then also linked that back actually to the Facebook pages of the universities. And each of the university departments, the planning departments, the engineering departments, actually have their own little Facebook groups as well. So I managed to sort of place an ad on there as well. And we actually got a really, really good traction on it. In terms of just email inquiries about the position, there was a lot of people just asking, what is it, where is it? Then also a few online inquiries just through Facebook. But then the applications actually started rolling in within, I literally had it open for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we got over 15 applications.
That's amazing. That is amazing. For qualified town planners to move to Central Queensland, that's a really, really, really great outcome. I really like the fact that you approached it almost like you would marketing. So who is the target market? People who just qualified as town planners or who are qualified town planners. Where do they hang out? At universities, on LinkedIn, and in their groups. Yeah. And then you had this awesome marketing material essentially made, and you targeted them directly. So I know that you had a video made. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I did the team at Marketing Mafia, who's done my logo design and a lot of us back of us information and documentation for us. We sat down with them and said, well, we need to attract somebody that's going to be willing to move to the region, but we've got to entice them to move to the region. So in terms of the wording we used in the ad, like I said, it was very straightforward. There's only a few lines in there, but it basically was about enticing them, making them interested in going, well, why would they move to Rockhampton?
Yeah.
So we obviously, yes, there's a job there, but it's all about attracting them to the region. And part of that wording was saying, well, give it a go.
Yeah.
Come here for 6 months. I'm pretty sure, hopefully, we're still testing it, that after 6 months they will stay. Yeah. And so that's how we sort of come up with that idea as well, in a very short, sharp video.
That's excellent. Well, I think we should really play the video so that we can see what that looks like. I can see why that was so effective. 15 applicants, I can totally see why that's a fantastic video, and it really showcases our region beautifully. So how did you work your way through 15 applicants? What was your thinking? What did you look at in the resume and the cover letter? Like, how did you set up a process, or how did you go about selecting who to interview?
In terms of the application process, I made it quite clear, even on the Facebook post and that it went with the video clip, is that provide a 2-page CV.
That's it?
That's it, as well as write three points of why you should get the position, or why you're good for the position. And to be honest, my view on that was, it's not about getting the highest scores or or even having the most specific town planning experience or background. It was more about realizing, well, what are their interests?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of recruitment drives is very much focused on
skills,
very much that, but I looked for a bit more in that. But also, firstly, the point of recruiting somebody was to actually free up time. So if I didn't have time to just go and read through pages and pages of CVs, and to be honest, a lot of CVs look exactly the same.
That's correct.
Everybody's got a few months work experience, which is great. They all got a qualification. But in the end, what was their CV going to tell me about them? Yeah. And that's why I just asked that short question in the beginning. And that sort of kicked off my process. I didn't even, to be honest, I read those 3 points first. And out of them, I think there was 1 or 2 of those that immediately, we didn't even go and get to the CV because it's about what their interest and how they responded to that. And I could clearly see through that response that, firstly, some of them actually did research on Gideon Town Planning, which is not hard. You go and Google Gideon Town Planning, it'll pop up. You can go to our website. You can see the projects we've worked on. So some of them actually did time and effort to go and look at, which that was great to see. But then also, one of the main key things I looked at was more about what other experience they have, not just town planning, but external experience in terms of dealing with people, dealing with clients. And so the main drive was there, just a short, sharp process as well.
That's really, really interesting. And I think from people applying for jobs, this is another interesting kind of point of view. That it's all a bit like dating, where if you talk too much about yourself, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. And people forget that you can go and research the company that you've applied to join and really understand and visualize and get a feel for how you can fit into that company and how you can contribute to that company, as opposed to just talking all about yourself all the time, which is cool. Okay, so then we got to our shortlist, and then...
So out of those 15, like I said, we worked through the paperwork and made a bit of a shortlist and sort of did a bit of scoring for each of them. Yeah. And we got to the top 5, because in the end I went, there's no point actually interviewing all 15 or even 10. It was, in the end, it's going to come down to one person that's going to get offered the position, and hopefully they were going to accept the job. Yeah. And so we focused on that, and so the interview component was actually, once again, everybody's gotten used to doing things online. Yeah. So having Zoom, Link, and all those platforms available actually made it quite easy to set up meetings. So once again, I gave everybody a quick call and said, well, you're successful, you've moved to the next round of interviews, and set up a time, set up a meeting request, and that was it. And in terms of the actual interviews itself, I made it quite clear from the start of the interview as well that I actually just want to talk to them. It was not about me rambling off 5 questions and making sure I asked every person the same 5 questions. It was more about having a bit more of an organic conversation. Right. Just going, well, what are your interests? Because once again, like I said, there's a responsibility of knowing that the person will be able to move here and actually find something or interest to do. And be happy here. We only work so much of the day. There's still another 2/3 of the day. I would like them to work all the time, but but yeah, they've got after hour time as well, and that's where they need to be comfortable and get familiar with the region, but also settle in. So and that's why I sort of wanted to know a bit more about them. All of them, like I said, on their CVs, they've got a qualification, they've got a degree all from reputable universities. So that part is almost ticked off everybody. Everybody's in the same category for me on that. So.
Okay, so what you're saying is personality did matter.
Yes.
So their attitude, their personality, their interests, and your assessment of whether they'll be able to settle into the region and be happy here, not just in the workplace, but also after work. Yes. That played into the whole interview process and also into your selection process.
Yes. Definitely.
Okay, so how was there a huge standout candidate, or did they all score very similarly? How did you make the decision that this is the person I'm going to offer the job to?
It was almost, to be honest, going from 15 down to 5 was almost harder.
Really?
Because in the end, when we had the 5 people we had shortlisted, set up the meetings, and some of the candidates, to be honest, wasn't prepared. They didn't have Zoom or set the correct things set up beforehand. So it went on from, have you prepared for, they obviously it's not just about, it's about them being prepared as well. So there was interview, like through the interview process, it's almost like you start weeding it out much easier, much quicker.
Yeah.
But once again, all the candidates was really good candidates. All of them would be able to fulfill the role. Like I said, it's a graduate planner role, so it's about getting somebody that was willing to learn, somebody that was willing to move here, but then also that I could see that I could work with and work with in our team, but also from our business perspective, somebody that can engage with clients, somebody that can engage with the government departments and people that we deal with daily, somebody that's willing to pick up a phone, answer a call, just pick up the phone and give a call, find something out. So it's about that, their interaction. And so one of the key things was that I did to refer back to their CVs was actually looking at what other roles or jobs have they done? Have they been working in a bakery? Have they worked at a cinema? Did they, most of them had some type of background in service industry or engagement with people. And that was actually very important for me, getting somebody that has had that experience in terms of talking with customers, dealing with customers. Even though town planning is a lot of paperwork and sitting in the office, there is a large component where we do engage and interact with people, because in the end, we work with the community as a planner. So.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. So not just, as you said, like everyone had a qualification. So the level of skill in terms of town planning, they were probably all pretty equal. But then what you looked for is more of those soft skills, right? The people, the ability to engage and have a relationship and communicate with people, the ability to work independently as well as work in a team. That stuff then became really, really important. And the way in which you assess some of that information was through looking back through their history and their work history. Now,
and I think sometimes people forget that that's important. That people get lost in, and others might not agree with me, but people get lost in their marks, in their university results, which, yes, it is great, and you need to work hard at university, but it's about also everything that goes with it. It's the whole picture that ties around it. So.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Now, as you said, town planning is a bit of a equal game between, I'm making I'm guessing here, so please tell me if I'm wrong, but it looks to me to be a bit of an equal game between doing the paperwork side of things as well as engaging with people and bringing them along for the journey. So there's like this balance between being great with people and being able to actually do the work. So how did you learn to be so great with people? Because I think that is one of your absolute skills.
Actually, a very funny story, but in university, I actually ended up getting a part-time job at a lion park, at a tourism facility.
As you do, at a lion park.
So yeah, that was one of my first sort of actual sort of part-time job there. And so,
what do you do at a lion park? You didn't feed the lions, did you?
Well, we did actually sometimes. And it was one of those. It's funny, and I always like referring back to that. But it was one of those roles that it was engaging with. Firstly, basically worked with tourists. Being based, it was in Cape Town, so we basically got a lot of American tourists from UK, Germany, Australians. Lots of Australians came through, and but it was that engagement with people, and we actually, I think that really got me out of a sort of, not that I've always talked a lot, but it just helped me really engage with people and taught me to. I was forced basically to tell the story about the lion park and things that happened there, and how about the conservation components of it, and how it all functioned and operated, but also that engagement, it sort of led on to me talking and making the customers there feel comfortable there, because it is a different experience as well, and making them walk through the lion park and explaining to them about the lions, the background, even though that was something that I didn't study or anything. But yeah, it's that engagement with tourists that I think really sparked that discussion points.
That's really awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, so back to, then we have to make the final decision. We'd assessed you then assessed their skills and as well as their soft skills. And then we came to the pointy end, which was who are we going to offer the job to? So how did you feel at that time?
that was actually quite daunting because you're like, really, this is now, you've got to make a decision now. This is, and like I said, even from the start when I went, like I said, it was September when we just went, okay, well, I'm just going to put this ad out there. We'll just see what happens.
Yes.
And then we got that great response. And then it got, okay, well, this is actually happening now.
Yes, yes. It's a bit of an experiment to start with, and then you get to a point where, oh gosh, this is really real.
This is actually it. So, so we got to, and to be honest, during the interviews, there was probably 2 top candidates. That was really good. Not much of muches, but it was very close in terms of making that decision.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it came down to how comfortable and natural our conversation was during the interview. I think that was the end result for me. And once I made that decision, it was, okay, now we're going ahead and that's it. So.
Oh, excellent. So you made the decision, you offered the job, and then how long did it take before that person actually moved to Rocky?
So even that process went quite quick. So,
really?
Once again, in terms of the candidates that was available, most of them, like I said, they were all graduates, so fresh out of university.
Available immediately.
Which is quite important for
That's
again.
Good, yeah.
And so the successful candidate was able to move, I think from the moment we made the offer to her being actually in the office was just under roughly around 3 weeks.
Wow, that is pretty fast.
Which is great. So,
yeah, considering she had to move here. Yeah.
So it was roughly like three weeks that she was in the office. So
that's incredible. Great. That's incredible. Okay, so then she shows up on day 1. And did you sleep well the night before? No. What did you have prepared for her when she arrived?
So she actually came up because she was relocating to Rockhampton. She actually came up a week early and actually came and introduced herself. Once again, great initiative of the person to actually coming to the office early before starting the job and introducing herself. And I was able to then actually do a quick show the office, show the space that we work within here at the Smart Hub. And that introduction was actually, that step was actually great. Like I said, that was actually from her perspective, initiative as well to do it. And then the following week when she started, it was almost like just a rolling process. We did a brief induction once again in terms of processes, the general office, workplace health and safety things. Once again, that is having that documentation in place.
Yes.
That's something that through all the different workshops at the Smart Hub, we've talked about workplace health and safety, all those inductions and the things that goes with it. So having that bit of background knowledge about all of them made it quite easy. But then also we just got straight into work, which is the good part. So.
That's excellent. Excellent. And it's going well so far, right?
Yes, so
3 months in.
3 months in. She's settled in, she's enjoying Rockhampton. And so like I said, so far I think we've captured her in the region. And so she's really enjoying the work as well. Because once again, in the regions, you get such a broader range of experience.
Yeah.
We do deal with a broad range of clients, industrial, commercial, residential projects. And the current market as well being so busy, so much interest in property development. The experience that she's getting at this stage is just phenomenal. So great. So it's great to have somebody on board. And it's really, once again, back to, like I said, when we brought on the first person, it was a part-time role. Now we've got a full-time person on board. Freed me up in another sense again to, once again, probably now after 3 years, look at the overall business again.
Yes.
And focus on the business operation component.
Yeah.
I've got a technical person assisting with the planning work.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm still very heavily involved with that and with the clients and all that. But it's just given me that bit of flexibility to reconsider and let's look at, okay, what are we doing for marketing?
Yeah.
What are we doing for with the existing clients and existing projects? How do we keep the clients happy?
Yeah.
How do we keep the projects moving? And then obviously handing that work a bit over to that person as well and getting them the experience.
That's absolutely excellent. So kind of to wrap it up or to bring it all together, what would you say were the things that you really learned? What to do, maybe 1 or 2 things what to do and 1 or 2 things of what not to do?
First thing is if you think you need half a person, you can probably already need a full person for the job.
Yeah.
So it is daunting, but sometimes it's just worth doing that step.
Yeah.
And in the end, not that you bank on it, but things can go pear-shaped. Things can go wrong.
They do, yeah.
But that's for any business decision. And so once again, I just take the leap and go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was the thing that you would say, don't do this?
Don't do the standard process. Do something different.
Yes.
Yeah, be different. Like, and that's some of the feedback I actually got through the people that applied for the job, is that the video that we did and the media, the thing that we went through Facebook, is that's where they were.
Yeah.
If I did the normal job ad, they might not have seen it. It might not have even sparked the interest to even look at the job ad, because they would have seen, maybe just gone, okay, it's a job in Rockhampton.
No.
I'm not moving to Central Queensland. Whereas all of a sudden there was a video, and once again it's marketing. So back to and once again I had to smart up with all the digital marketing and components that's always discussed, is about sparking that interest and capturing people's attention for that 10, 15 seconds. And I think that's what that was. So be different.
Wonderful. I love it. Gideon, thank you so very much for sharing with us all your recruitment secrets and the wonderful process that you followed. We wish you all the best. Hope this works out amazingly for you. I know your business is going from strength to strength. And now that you have more time and we're focusing on expanding your business and your strategic direction, I know that it's going to go really well. And thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks, as I mentioned last week, or a fortnight ago. We are moving to fortnightly HubLives. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye.